Universal Studios in Hollywood, California is known for pulling back the curtain when it comes to revealing that Hollywood magic. The theme park is located right next to studios that are still live and operating. These studios are responsible for creating some of your favorite TV shows and movies. And the theme park is just as magical. With all the pyrotechnics, you are left in wonder with just the immersive nature of all the Universal Studio rides. But what's the best way to prioritize your day at Universal Studios? And moreover, if you're a guest with a disability, what accommodations are available to you? We're gonna go through all of this and more. My name is Kendall and I'm your travel accessibility advisor. I'm gonna show you how you can save time, energy, and money at your day at Universal Studios Hollywood, California. I will also be offering some timestamps in the description box below so that you can skip to the topic that you're most interested in. And below will also be a PDF that will be offering some extra tips and recommendations for your itinerary at Universal Studios. Let's get into the video. Now, to start your day off right, you're going to want to find the perfect parking spot. And I have just the trick that will let you have $35 off premium parking. You see, a general parking costs $35 and is located in Jurassic Park parking lot, Curious George parking lot, and the Frankenstein parking lot. And those parking lots are good, but they're 15 minutes away from the actual park itself. And so what you're going to want to do is set your maps to the Woody Woodpecker parking lot and show your disability placard or disability license plate. Because while preferred parking costs $75 to other guests with a blue parking placard or a disability license plate only have to pay $5 more to park in the Woody Woodpecker parking lot, also known as the premium parking lot. And this is the premium parking lot because it is literally right next to the parks. You just take a couple steps and you're already at the entrance to the main park. The only downside, however, is that this parking lot only has 28 spots. So if you're interested in paying $5 more for premium parking, saving your time and energy, if you're interested in paying the extra $5, make sure you arrive to the park early. I'm talking about 30 minutes before the park opens at least. So what are the hours of the park? Well, that depends on what season you're visiting. For me, I visited during the off-season where opening hours are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. But if you go during the summertime, chances are the operating hours will be from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Unless you buy an early access ticket to Super Nintendo World, which is an extra $20 to $30, in which that case you are allowed to enter the park 1 hour early before everyone else. And this is something that I do think is a good deal because when I went to Super Nintendo World, there was very few lines at all. And it's just another great opportunity, especially if you're going during the off season where the park is only open for 8 hours without the early access pass. It's a great opportunity to maximize your time at the parks if that is something you're interested in seeing Super Nintendo World. Now, when you enter the park, you're going to see guest relations on your right, where you can ask any general questions about rides or clarification on accommodations. And then straight forward, you will see the ECV or manual wheelchairs available for rent. To rent a manual wheelchair, it costs $15 and a $25 down payment that you will receive back when you return the wheelchair. For ECVs, it's around $60 to $70 and the operator must be at least 18 years or older. Now we're going to talk about the actual layout of the park. The park is split into two parts, the upper lot and the lower lot. The lower lot is where Super Nintendo World is if you're planning on visiting there first. And so if you are, you're going to be entering from the upper lot. Everyone enters through the main entrance of the upper lot, and then you're going to want to head down towards the lower lot, which is past Minion Land. You will see that there's an escalator that most people will take to go to the lower lot, but for people with disabilities or mobility impaired, sometimes that's not an option, and so you will go to this elevator right here that is to the right side. You will take one floor down and you will see a line for the tram. Or hopefully, if you arrive earlier enough, you will be the first to enter the tram. This is another reason as to why you want to enter the park early, because tram rides can be 15 to 20 minutes of a wait. And that doesn't even include the time of transportation to get to the lower lot. Each tram fits about 1 to 3 wheelchairs, depending on the size of the wheelchairs or mobility devices. And the good news is that people with disabilities get priority over guests in strollers. You do have the option to stay or transfer from your mobility device. Whatever option is more comfortable for you, the operators will be more than happy to accommodate. Now, while it is frustrating having to wait for a tram and that extra time that it takes to go across parks, the way that I like to think about it, since there's nothing I can do about it, is that I get to see an early access tour of the studio tour that nobody else gets to see. Here I saw so many studios and extras and crew members all talking and mingling, and I got to learn so many more cool facts that I wouldn't have otherwise learned if I was just on the regular studio tour, which I did take, but besides the point, that's the way I kind of like to look at it. Now on to Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Once you get off the tram, you're gonna go to Super Nintendo World, where you'll head straight to Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Now, we did purchase Fast Pass tickets, but turns out we didn't need them. Apparently, if you're a wheelchair user or someone who has a mobility device, you can go into the express lane anyways, because the express lane has a wider lane. So it's easier to turn and basically move around. This is something I wish I knew beforehand, because I paid $80 per person on the Express Pass ticket add-ons. And during peak summer months, sometimes this can be $200 per person. So don't make the mistake I did and purchase the Express Pass tickets if you're someone who is mobility impaired or has a disability in general. You can bring your party with you at no extra cost. Also, if you have something that is called an accessibility access card, you are guaranteed to have express entry at every single ride at Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Orlando. The accessibility card works like this. First, you apply at this website, as this organization is the issuer of the disability card. You create an account, and then you select the concerns or accommodations that you might need while you are at your favorite park. And you will notice that this disability card applies to not just Universal Studios, but Six Flags as well, and a bunch of different other theme parks. Now, I was familiar with the Disability Access Card, but I thought that it was similar to the Disability Access Service Program at Disneyland. Turns out it's not, and people with physical disabilities alongside people who are neurodivergent or have cognitive disabilities can also apply for express lane privileges. Do you think that the disability card program at Universal Studios is a better concept than the disability program provided at Disneyland? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, so at the start of the express lane, you and the rest of the members of your party will then go down this elevator, down one floor, where you will then rejoin with the rest of the line members. And you'll get to go through Bowser's Castle. It really does give that map feel of Bowser's Castle, like the Mario Kart universe. You can just see the imagination and thought that was put into it. You can see the different coins and the different characters of Mario and friends, and it's just a nice experience because everything is scaled as if you were a character in Mario's universe, and yeah, it just brings out that childhood joy. I mean, just look at the detail of some of these sets. Then you're going to be led to a general room, and this general room will show you the basics of how to play Mario Kart the ride. You will see that there is going to be a steering wheel with buttons on each side, and one button is to collect coins and the other is to spew turtles from the back. Although your cart won't actually spew turtles, that was a little bit of a disappointment. This will all be done by using augmented reality, and you will see that through the cap that you will then collect after this room. Then you will go down the elevator again to another floor, and you will then rejoin the line once again before boarding onto your cart. Now, something you should know is that you do unfortunately have to transfer onto most of the rides at Universal Studios. There's very limited wheelchair accessible vehicles. There are some, and we are going to talk about them later in this video, but most of the rides you're going to have to transfer from your wheelchair onto the cart. Now, this Mario Kart ride does offer a more transfer-friendly option where the vehicle can have a door removed, and instead of hopping in, you just slide into your seat. And all you need to do is ask an attendant that you would want the transfer-friendly option. And then there you go. You have your designated cart, you take your seat, make sure that you attach the clear visor that is in front of you onto your hat like so. There's a magnetic connection there, because if you don't, the augmented experience won't work. And yeah, no, I learned that the hard way. The first time I went on the ride, I was literally just staring at different elements, and I'm like, I'm not doing this right. Other people are definitely seeing something that I'm not seeing. So make sure that you attach the clear visor onto the hat magnetically, and you'll do that just by putting the hat near the visor, and it'll click and everything will be fine. So yeah, make sure you attach the visor onto your hat like so, using the magnetic connections. For funsies, here's a side-by-side comparison on what the game looks like without augmented reality and what it looks like with augmented reality. Moving on to your next ride, The Revenge of the Mummy. Now, this ride is a dark ride roller coaster that definitely is bumpy and has some twists and turns, and it goes in reverse. So if you are someone who doesn't like roller coasters that twist or turn too dramatically, or someone that gets motion sickness, I wouldn't recommend this ride. But this is a good chance to point out that most of the rides at Universal Studios have a designated waiting rooms for guests who either can't ride the ride or don't want to ride the ride. And here you can just wait while the rest of your party goes on the ride, or some of your party can stay with you, like the Child Switch program, where Group A will go and board the ride first, and then Group B will stay back with the child, and then when Group A is done riding the ride, they will then switch, hence the name Child Switch program, and they will then stay with the child or family member that is not going on, and then group B will then board the ride without having to wait in line. And so that way every person of your party that wants to ride the ride can ride the ride, and every person that wants to wait it out can wait it out. It's a win-win situation. For guests that might be overstimulated, there are family centers where there's designated rooms where you can decompress in quiet. And these same family centers will have separate designated rooms for nursing mothers if you need a private place just to be with your baby or toddler. And this is just really nice for anyone that wants a break from the loud noise and interruptions that are in theme parks. And so I'm really grateful that this is an option that Universal Studios Hollywood provides. The last thing you should know about these theme park attractions is that they have a duplicate of the ride cart that is at the entrance of every ride. So if you're unsure if you can transfer onto a ride, you can do a practice run before you get into the line itself. After Revenge of the Mummy, I got to take a quick picture with Bumblebee, and I got to skip the line as well. And this was a nice perk that I didn't know that I had, but I got to skip the wait line to see Bumblebee. But yeah, no, I got to show him off my wheelchair a little bit, so that was a fun experience. Afterwards, we went on the Transformers ride, and I'm telling you, if you struggle from motion sickness, do not go on this ride whatsoever. It jolts and jerks you around like nothing I've ever experienced. You're spinning around and wearing 3D goggles and watching the Transformers fight each other, and you know, they're grabbing and reaching past the screen, and it sounds cool on paper, but it made me sick as a dog, and meaning that I literally gagged, and luckily there was nothing in my stomach, so nothing came out, but I literally gagged during this ride. And I'm not someone who gets motion sickness. I've been on plenty of roller coasters before, and I had a problem with this ride. Yeah, fair warning to those who don't even struggle with motion sickness, this ride's a doozy. Now moving on to Jurassic World, which is the last ride that is in the lower lot. This is a water ride, and I do mean a water ride. So you are going to get water poured on you, things sprayed at you, dinosaurs spitting at you. So if you are someone who is not a fan of getting water on you, I would suggest either ordering a poncho ahead of time or bring your own rain jacket. But this was one of my favorite rides in the lower lot, so I wouldn't skip this if I were you. I will say that the biggest downside is the difficulty to transfer. This is a boat, so you're going to have to figure out a way to either swing your body or step over the boat in order to get on the ride. But once I was on the boat, I felt safe and secure, and the ride attendant gave me as much time as I needed. But yeah, that is a major downside to the ride from an accessibility standpoint. After getting absolutely drenched, we got off of the ride, and I actually got to meet Blue and her handler, Brodi, who also happened to know American Sign Language. I got to pet this animatronic, which is a sentence I never thought I would say, but it was definitely interesting seeing this animatronic react to you like a real live animal. And the way the designers made it is so that the head is hard, but like the throat and like tummy are very soft, which is something I found very interesting. I did happen to see that Brodi won the Team Member of the Year award or something similar to that, and he also signs American Sign Language. And I learned American Sign Language back in high school and took roughly 3 years of it. I am by no means fluent in any regards, but I was happy that I could at least introduce myself and sign my name. All right, now we're going onwards and upwards to the upper lot. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to go on all the rides, not because I didn't have enough time, but because I was literally so sick from the Transformers ride. I've never felt this severe of vertigo ever before in my life, and it was not fun. But if this video reaches 4,000 views, I will go back to Universal Studios, and this time I'll make sure to pack a Dramamine, and I will film all the rides that I didn't get to go on last time. When you arrive on the upper lot, you're going to be closest to Minion Land, which is where I recommend that you go on the Secret Life of Pets off-leash ride. And what's really special about this ride is that it's a wheelchair accessible ride, meaning that you can bring a wheelchair on the ride with you. Now, unfortunately, my motorized wheelchair was too big and heavy to take with me. So on staff, there is these manual wheelchairs that I could transfer to that would allow me to take the transfer wheelchair onto the ride. There's also a designated place for me to put my wheelchair so that I can safely transfer and not have to worry about the rushing crowds that are next to me or where my wheelchair is and if it's in a safe space. They had a designated area for that. And this area also had a kennel for service dogs, which I felt was a nice touch. Universal Studios also has a pamphlet on what rides your service dog can go on and what rides offer kennel services so that you can enjoy the ride, and I'll leave that in the description box down below as well. This was my favorite wait line experience. As a viewer, you are going through different New York City apartments, but you're seeing it through the perspective of a dog or cat. And so everything is oversized and just brightly colorful and things like that. It was very fun and very entertaining to see all these gigantic props. This ride was my favorite line queue attraction. And what I mean by that is while you're rolling through the line, you are taking the perspective of a dog or cat that is living in New York City, and you're basically roaming around different New York City apartments. And so everything is oversized and it's just fun and whimsy. Because there is a lot of props in this wait line, there's a lot of tight corners, and that's another reason why they wanted me to transfer into the designated wheelchair, just so that my motorized wheelchair wouldn't get stuck on any of the props. But what was cool was that at the end of my wait, I got to go on this special wave vehicle, wheelchair access vehicle, where I literally got to have a ramp drawn down for me and drive up into the cart, and then an attendant would strap the wheelchair down to the floor so that I would be safe and secure. And then my camera woman got to sit next to me. So I got to have the experience just like transferring into a seat, but I got to bring a wheelchair with me.
Yeah, a flying morning. You can go home now. You've officially seen it all.
Another wheelchair access vehicle is this studio tour. And I would recommend that you wait in the line that says the wheelchair accessible line, the line that you can bring your wheelchair onto the tram itself. And the reason why I would recommend that you stay in your mobility device versus transferring for this ride is because you literally get the best seat in the house. Up front, close to all the action, And so I think it's definitely worth waiting a little bit for the wheelchair accessible tram, and you and your family or party will literally get the best seats in the house. On the tram, you'll get to cruise around the different back lots that are working sets. And because they are working sets, each tram ride can be a little different because a movie producer might be using one set, and as a result, the tram needs to take a different path and tour a different set. And that's really cool in my opinion. You'll get to see the different lots that are used in movies like King Kong. I would say that my favorite simulator experience was the fake New York subway earthquake flash flood experience. There's something very uncanny valley about it in that, you know, it looks a lot like a typical residential urban American neighborhood, but there's something off about it and you can't really tell what it is. So it definitely has a little bit of a spooky vibe, so that's why I liked it. I thought it was more creepier than the Bates Hotel because it was unassuming, but you're also learning about the movie making process and the differences between a facade versus working building and how sets look larger than they do in real life. Water or a body of water in a dry desert land, and yeah, it's really cool. It's always fascinating to learn these different tools and tricks, and if you're lucky, you'll see cast and crew of perhaps some of your favorite TV shows. When we were on the tram ride, they were filming for St. Denis Medical and The Office spin-off The Paper, which is both TV shows that I enjoy incredibly much. So I like anything sitcom, anything funny. I was definitely having a good time trying to find out if Oscar was anywhere to be seen. Speaking of movie magic, let's talk about the Hogwarts Castle. Located east from the studio tour is the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Park, which feels like it's a set from the original movies. You will stroll down Hogsmeade Village and you will see the prominent Hogwarts Castle. This side of the park offers 2 rides, a Flight of the Hippogriff, a smooth junior roller coaster, and Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, a robotic arm dark ride that swoops you through the castle with Harry, Hermione, and Ron, having you literally hanging off your seat. And like I said, if this video reaches 4,000 views, I will go on all the rides that I missed. I will conquer my fears. So if you want to see a part 2, make sure to share with a friend. Good news for individuals who want to see the Hogwarts Castle but don't necessarily want to go on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Magical experience without having to go on the thrilling rides. If you liked the studio tour, chances are you're going to like this Waterworld show. Loosely based on the 1995 Kevin Costner film, the show drops you into a post-apocalyptic future where all the polar ice caps have melted. The entire world is underwater, and a ragtag crew of survivors is hunting for the last patch of dry land. And as a wheelchair user or someone who is mobility impaired, you get to have a front row seat and see all the action. And also the way the wheelchair accessible seats are designed is that there are blue seats on the back next to the blue handicap sign, And basically members of your party can watch the show with you and you won't need to split up in order to view the show. And this is a touch that I really like because in most stadiums they only allow one person to sit next to you if you're a wheelchair user, but in this setup all members of your party can sit right next to you and you can enjoy the show together. And with all that said, that is the end of this video. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button as it really does help out this channel. To those who have already done that, thank you so much, as your support is the reason why I can continue filming videos and spreading accessibility information. Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon, but until next time, enjoy your journey, traveler.